Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're going to be looking at airflow. How important is airflow in your reptile room? Guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also leave me a comment in the comment box below. Let me know what you guys would like to see me talk about, or if you have any questions about my room and how I do things, please leave a comment in the comment box below. Airflow. Let's get into it. How important is airflow? Hopefully by the end of this video you guys will pick up some hints, some tips, some ideas, some understanding of why airflow is important. Airflow is critically important to a reptile room because we need to move the air around the room. Now, a lot of people feel that if they've got a fan, a fan would automatically cool the room down. Not necessarily. All it does is basically moves the air that's already in the room. So if your room temperature is 80 degrees Fahrenheit like it is now, then the air coming through that will be a little bit cooler, but it's not going to cool down the room as such. All it's going to do is move the air. The fans that I use are designed for literally moving the air around. Now obviously if you stand in front of it, the air being pushed through will feel cooler because it's being pushed through at a quicker rate. So as you can see behind me, the fan on that wall is a oscillating fan. I've kept the fans on today for the purpose of the video. The fan behind the camera is a fixed fan. And then within this room, I've also got an extractor and an inlet, and I'll explain why. Airflow is important to move air around your room. Now if you look at my setup, I've not got racks to the ceiling, I've not got racks to the wall, I've got great big gaps in between each racking system to allow the air to move through and through the tubs and through the racks. It's important. Now you have got other racks out there, such as wild racks for example, which have enclosed sides and backs. They're great, they work just as well, but you need to be mindful of your airflow. I use LP racks because I like the fact I can get the air moving through them, that sort of thing. Wild racks, for example, would work great in a bedroom or in a living room, in a kitchen, that sort of thing, even in a dedicated reptile room like this. Now the good thing with stuff like the enclosed racks that have got enclosed sides and backs, I can have the door open and not worry about it because the heat is going to be contained within that unit. The downside to it is obviously you need to make sure you've got good ventilation, good circulation of air within that rack. Make sure obviously you've got some air holes or whatever you need to make sure you've got good airflow. If you are using an enclosed rack as well, it might be better if you are using something like Viper bedding, then it might be better that you use it dry as opposed to being damp or wet. Now that will lead me into another part of the video which I'll get into very shortly. So airflow is key, moving air around is key in your room. Now now we're moving air around. We don't just want to move stagnant air, we want to move and pull it out the room and replace the stagnant air with fresh air. Fresh air doesn't necessarily mean cold air, and this is something that a lot of people feel, like occasionally I'll have the doors open, the door into the lobby area and then the lobby door open into the garden, just to allow some fresh air through. Yes, the temperatures will drop, but it's not going to do your animals any harm for like an hour. Let's say if you've got the door open for an hour while you're moving stuff around, doing some cleaning, moving some rubbish out, whatever, it's not going to hurt your reptiles. You have that door open 24/7, obviously, of course, the temperatures will drop, the racks will kick in and the heat mats will rise. You'll probably find the snakes will go from the middle of the tub to the back of the tub where the heat source is. Extraction of the stagnant air is important. So the extractor over there pulls out the stagnant air, and the inlet over here, because it creates almost like a vacuum when the door's shut, it will pull in fresh air from outside. So hence we're now replacing the air, the stagnant air, with fresh air, almost like a gas exchange, if you like. So we're moving the stagnant air out and we're replacing it with good quality air coming in, fresh air. So it's important to make sure when you are setting up a reptile room that you think about and consider your airflow system. How are you going to get it set up? How is it going to work? What's it going to do? The other good things with fans, as you'll see most facilities around the world, You know, especially like, you know, if you look at Justin's facility over at Canova, they've got those massive fans because they understand how important it is for airflow. So the other good thing with the fans, they will also help regulate the temperature from bottom to top. So in other words, if you've got your fans pointing downwards, it will pull the hot air from, obviously hot air rises, it will pull the hot air in through the black, blow it down towards the bottom, and again you'll get this circulation of air coming from the ground up, and obviously from left to right as well. So the whole circulation of the air within your room is done via the fans, so it's important to have the fans. Bedding. So if you're using whatever substrate you may want to use, whether it's paper, you know, lignocell, cypress mulch, coconut bedding, whatever you want to use is entirely up to yourself. You've got to pick the bedding that works for you and also your racks and your animals. So for example, if you're using a bedding like Viper bedding and you've got enclosed racks, you want to be using the bedding as dry as possible to allow, it's still going to have humidity in there. And again guys, if you are going to check your humidity, you can buy the little gauges, put them in the tubs and see what your humidity is running at. Now what I tend to do with my Viper bedding, I'll tend to make it up and I'll leave it in the room like so. I've got a couple of tubs, one in the hatchling room, one in here, and then I've got a big sort of tub that I'll use to make it up, and then I'll transfer it into the smaller tubs which I'll use for each room. The reason why I do that is because first of all, when I've made it and it's wet, I don't want to use it wet. I like to use it 50-50, and I find that works in my racks with the LP and the air circulation and the ventilation on the LP. I find using it 50-50 works great for me. But what I tend to do, I tend to leave it like that, let it dry out a little bit. It also raises the humidity in the room, which is great, and then obviously I transfer it into the smaller tubs. Now if you're using a enclosed rack system, then you want to make sure that bedding is dry as possible, and then afterwards what you do is then you go in and then you spray the bedding down to get the desired humidity that you require or that the animal requires, so you are in control. Within my room, like I said, I use it 50-50 and it works perfectly fine. Again, you've got to make sure you've got good airflow. If you haven't got good airflow, then obviously there's stagnant air within that tub and you can get a lot of condensation, which a lot of people worry about. My condensation, I don't worry about it because like I said, doing this for a number of years and using these tubs, you know, over the years I've gone, right, need more water or less water, and I've sort of worked out the happy medium, if you like, for my racks and the tubs that I use. So you've really got to, it's a work in progress. I can't tell you guys what racks are the best, what bedding's the best, but what I can do is educate you so that you can come up with your own conclusions and find out which ones you like to use for your preference or for your reptile room. The one thing I want to emphasize is that airflow is key. I've done a video on this years ago, and I remember talking to Miguel over at Always Evolving Pythons when he was starting out. He was having a few issues and I spoke to him regarding the airflow, sorted out the airflow, and it really helped him. So airflow is key. What I want you guys to do is look at your room, see what airflow, you know, have you got good airflow? Do you find when you walk in your reptile room, it really is stifling and it hits you and you've got to leave the door open? You know, think about that. Think about how your room is operating. An air conditioning machine running constantly may not be the way forward. I tend to use, I like to use sort of the circulation of the fans and obviously the fresh air from outside coming in. I have got an aircon machine which I will use for the odd day, odd 2 days of the UK when we have crazy hot weather, just to keep the room below 86 degrees Fahrenheit ambient. I like it to be around about, what is it now, it's 80 at the minute. I like it to be around between 79 and 83. That's my happy spot. But the aircon machine is designed to kick in when it hits 86 or above. So the minute it gets 86 in here, the aircon machine kicks in, cools down the room. If you guys have any questions about airflow and how I do things or why I do particular things, please feel free to put a question in the comment box below. I love reading all your questions, and obviously I'll try and get back to a lot of you as much as possible. If you don't want to leave a question there and you want to hit me up on Instagram, get over to my Instagram, give me a follow, and I will answer any questions as best as possible. Again, guys, There's more than one way to do this hobby, and that's what I love about it. But ultimately, there are a few things we need to understand to make our husbandry work, and that's what's important. Airflow, I feel, gets very overlooked, and I think it's an important part to what we do. So guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching to the end of this video. Remember, subscribe if you haven't, hit that notification bell and leave me a comment in the comment box below. But for now guys, I hope you're all well, take care, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
I hit record a job, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming.